everyone. This is Laura from Ross Driver Library, and thank you for joining me today for our We Can Make a Difference session for our Growing with Gardens series. And actually, today is our last live video session. I'm just gonna wait for a few people to come in. And as they come in, I'm going to show you the updates of our library garden here. And I'd love to see what you guys are growing in your gardens, how that's going. This is the most exciting, one of the most exciting times of the garden process because we're getting everything. It's like blowing up with vegetables and flowers. So I have had a few nice surprises in the library garden. So I'm going to show you what it looks like right now. I'm going to do the phone method again because I think that worked pretty well. So if any of you want to chime in with what you're growing, you can do so at any time. So here is one of the first surprises. So this is our oregano. And at first I thought the oregano was dead, like for a while, and up until about last week actually. But the oregano grew back and it kind of took off. So that was really exciting because I didn't think that it was going to grow anymore. And then I bet you have, if you have a tomato plant, I bet you're seeing this too. So here are some of the mini tomatoes on our tomato plant. And most of them are green, but I wanted to show you that we have also beautiful red tomatoes. And here's another picture of them. I love cherry tomatoes. They're my favorite type of tomato. And they're so pretty. So every day that I come to work, there's more. And it's very exciting to see. Here's the tomato plant, the whole tomato plant. It's got pretty big now. So as you can see, we have all those little green tomatoes everywhere. And then we have our zinnias. Those are really pretty. So they seem to be mostly orange. And these ones here are pretty cool because they're like, the leaves are really close, or the petals are very close together. They almost look like huge marigolds. Do you guys have any beautiful flowers coming out in your gardens right now? This is the other great surprise. Okay, so if you remember in previous weeks, the broccoli wasn't looking too good. So I was very surprised to see that it has grown fairly large and there's tons of new leaves. And I'm just watching, thank you, Hannah. I'm just watching to see when a broccoli might emerge in the center there. So that was so exciting because the broccoli is strong again and it came back. And here are our carrots. They seem to be getting a little bit bigger. And here's our lovely little peppers. They're looking very beautiful and yellow. Some of them are green. So there's lots of peppers. And then our basil. The basil is probably the biggest plant out there. If I can get it to focus, there it is. It's huge. And usually if you want your basil to keep growing and to be very flavorful, you pinch off your flowers on the top there, right there. But I left them on because the bees love them and pollinators love them. So I figured they can get some nectar and pollen from those flowers. So what is in your gardens? Do you guys have herbs? Do you have vegetables? I know you guys have had like lots of vegetables, zucchini, beans. What's your favorite vegetable and favorite flower? Here's our marigolds and our cosmos. And they're really pretty too. I love marigolds. And our second planting marigolds has started to bloom. And then here is our little mix of wildflowers. I'm still really anxious to see if any flowers pop up here and what flowers, because it was a mix and I don't know what these flowers are. I could definitely look in a field guide or online or something like that and try to identify the flowers. That might be super fun. Have you guys ever done that? I did want to show you that I did do that with one thing that I found in the garden the other day. I found this little guy. Let's focus in on him here. Can we focus? There we go. What is that? As soon as I saw it, I said, is that the Very Hungry Caterpillar? Because it looks like the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And so I did a little bit of research because he was fascinating to watch. This little caterpillar had a bunch of little legs, and it was eating the leaves and the stems of the carrots. If it was in maybe my garden, I might have tried to move him carefully somewhere else, but since it's in the library garden, I just let the little caterpillar go to town. Favorite vegetable is carrots. That's an interesting favorite vegetable. I don't hear that very often, but I love carrots. Awesome. I'm interested to see what happens to the carrots in our library garden because I've never grown carrots before, but I figured I'd put them in there. So anyway, I did a little research on that caterpillar, and it's actually called a parsley. People call it a parsley worm, but it's actually a caterpillar. But this is the caterpillar that was on our little carrots, and can you guess what butterfly this caterpillar turns into? I'm just going on my phone here. I'm going to click on the video on my phone, so hopefully I can watch your comments come in live. And maybe it'll be a little faster than on my end with what I'm filming with. Okay, so what butterfly do you think this turns into? I was so excited to see that it turns into a black swallowtail butterfly. That was a discovery for me, and I'm really excited to know what the caterpillar for this butterfly looks like because I see these all the time. So that was a really cool thing to find in the garden. So it's so much fun to go and wander in the garden and see what's visiting your garden, what popped up, what's different about your garden. So that's an update on our library garden here. This is our last scheduled live Facebook Live session for the garden. But I would love to keep hearing more about your gardens. I'm probably gonna post a few more pictures as our garden out there gets into the peak season here of blooming and producing produce and stuff like that. So if you see those pictures, feel free to comment on those pictures and let us know what's in your garden in August. So, as I said in the beginning, this session of Growing with Gardens is all about how we can make a difference. So why am I talking about this in the last session for our Growing with Gardens series? Well, I'm talking about it because we have already made a difference. So the great news is that if you have been tuning into these garden sessions, or if you've just been outside a lot this summer, helping nature, maybe taking some of the ideas we talked about and going outside, helping creatures in your backyard, or just observing them and learning more, you've already made a difference on the earth. So it's as simple as that. But as a little wrap up and like a summary of what we've done, let's just think back on some of the ways that we've made a difference. Well, we've made recycled crafts. If you remember during the Earth Day week, we learned about pollinators and how we can help them in our backyard. We made garden journals and we observed nature in those garden journals every week. We've planted our gardens, of course, or just maybe flowers or single plants if we did plant a whole garden. We've written poetry about nature. We've learned how to be mindful in nature. We've learned about soil, water, habitats, so many different things. Is there anything else that you can think of that we did that we helped to make a difference on the earth? The other thing I want to say about making a difference is that it happens in small actions. So what does this mean? Well, all those different things that we did were really small actions that we took. Often when we think about the earth, the planet, it's so big, and if there's problems and facing the planet, they seem very overwhelming, and it seems like we can't tackle them on our own, which is true. But what we can do is take small actions, all of us together, and all of that combined will come together and lead to change and to helping the earth. So really it's one action at a time. So all of the things that we've talked about, you can make a list of them or just have them in your head and tackle one thing at a time. Maybe you decide that you're going to start recycling, or maybe you're going to start trying to use only cold water for as much as you can. Just these small actions, and you can decide which one you want to work on, and then once you achieve that action, you can pick a different one. And it comes one step at a time. And then before you know it, you've done so many things to help the earth. And I'm sure that you've told so many people how important it is to help. So you've really made a big difference with small actions. And the other really important thing for making a difference is that you have to be confident in your voice. So what does that mean? Confidence means, like you probably know, it means being sure of something. So really, it's like believing in yourself and saying, I can do this. I lost the video here on my phone. I'm going to try to come back and see if I can follow along. Okay, there we go. So, so what we can do to build our confidence is say, we can touch the earth. I can leave my handprint on the earth. I can change things for the better. I can make a difference. So those are the things that you can say to yourself that will help you feel confident in your power to change the earth. So I have a little science experiment for you that will help you to be reminded of this lesson about being confident in the way you can change the earth. So these are called sun prints. You might have done this before or seen it done somewhere else. I'm looking up here because I have a second screen up here, so if you're wondering why I'm looking up. So what you do is you take different colored paper, any color you want, and you go outside and you find different objects in your garden or in your yard. And you can try them out by putting down your piece of paper and securing the edges, maybe with like rocks or something like that, something heavy so it doesn't blow away. And then you put your little objects on your paper, and you might want to put little stones on top of them so they don't fly away to weigh it down. And then you leave it there in the sun and let this powerful sun do its magic. And then guess what happens? We get nature prints. So the objects that you choose to put on your paper leave a mark. So it's like a little outline. So here's the purple one I tried, here's the orange one, and then here's one with black paper. So the thing about this experiment is that it requires a lot of trial and error. So you can try it many different times. You can use different colored paper. You can use different objects. You can leave it out in the sun for longer. You can leave it out in the sun for less time. There's lots of different things that you can change in the experiment to get different results. So this experiment reminds us of two things. So while you're observing the sun, the power of the sun, you can remember, first of all, that helping the earth requires a lot of different tries. So sometimes things don't work, or sometimes you have to do them in a different way, so you try again. So just like this experiment, you have to keep trying and trying. And then the other thing to remember is that just like these objects leave a print on the paper, you leave a mark on the earth when you help nature and when you help creatures. And that mark can't be taken away. It's permanent and it stays, just like these prints. So hang these up maybe in your room and remember that the mark that you leave on the earth is important and it can't be taken away. So that was just like a little fun activity to remind us of how important we can be on the earth. But we are going to do a little activity, and I hope that this works. I'm trying to get the video up here to watch your comments. But what we're gonna do is sort our waste, so the things we throw away. We've talked about this before. We've talked about composting, and we've talked about recycling. What we're going to do today is practice that, because recycling and sorting through our waste and reducing our waste is one of the most important things we can do every day, a small action to help the earth. So if you're watching this later, just shout it out at home. If you want to put it in the comments, whoops, I lost a sign. If you want to put it in the comments, feel free. Or if you just want to shout it out at home, I'll give you a few seconds to tell me where the waste should go. So we have 3 different spots. We have a recycle, we have a compost, and then we have trash. So just as a brief refresher on these things, recycling is very important. It cuts down, obviously, on landfills where we put our trash. So it reuses materials and reduces waste. So what we're putting in recycling is like things that humans make, like plastic, cardboard, cans, aluminum, things like that, that can be recycled and made into new things. So you might know about these symbols if you find them on containers and other packaging. So if you've seen these symbols before, you might know that they mean that this is a different type of plastic. So all these numbers mean that the container that it's on is a certain type of plastic, and they tell you if you can recycle them. So you can learn more about these symbols on lots of different websites, but the 2 most helpful websites are called earth911.com and then howtorecycle.info. I think that's correct. So these are the most recent recycling symbols. They tell you clearer instructions with what to do with your packages. So if you see this on like maybe cereal, so it's going to say paper box, and you can recycle that. This means that you cannot recycle the plastic cover. If there's a line through it, it means you can't do it. Then there's sometimes instructions like rinse before recycling, or remove a paper label before recycling. So there's just different things that they try to help you out with to tell you what to do with your trash and your containers. So look for that little triangle symbol, because that usually means it can be recycled, but you have to make sure that your area takes that recycling. So there's lots to learn about recycling, but it's actually pretty easy. If you go on those websites, you can learn a lot, and maybe you can even make a poster to help everyone remember what can be recycled in your area. And I will just say, if you are questioning whether something can be recycled, it's best to not put it in the recycling, because sometimes it will mess up the machines that sort through the recycling, and then it damages them. So if you don't know, it's better just to put it in the trash or reuse it for something else. So anyway, that's the recycling. And then we have compost, which we've learned about and you probably know about. Compost is for natural materials like food waste, things that can break down. But paper can also go in compost too, because it can be broken down. And then trash is everything else. It's things like meat, old meat, dairy things that you can't put in the compost because it will attract animals. You put anything in your trash that you can't give away, recycle or compost. So let's try and sort some waste. I don't know how this is going to go. So I might wait for comments if we're getting them, but we'll see. Okay, so our first item is coffee grounds. Where do coffee grounds go? Trash, whoops, recycle, compost, or trash? Where do you think they go? Is it compost? Yes, it is. Compost can take coffee grounds, and they can also take the little paper filters around the coffee grounds because they can decompose and they break down in the compost. So that's where you can put your coffee grounds. What's next? This looks like maybe some leftover old watermelon. Maybe it's just the shell. You don't want to eat it. You can't eat it. It's the scraps left over. So what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it in the trash? You're going to put it in the compost because it can break down. So anything that you can put somewhere else other than the trash is great. Okay, so we're getting a comment, and it's behind, of course. And let me see if I can be a little bit more caught up. The app keeps crashing on my phone. Technology, every week, something new. Okay, so now we have our can, so like a pop can. What are we gonna do with this? You might go to throw it in the trash, but there's something else you can do with it. So it's either composting or recycling. Which one do you guys think? It is recycling. Yes. Just as I said it, I saw the comment. Recycling. Absolutely. Tin cans are very commonly recycled. So that's like one of the most common things you can recycle. I'm going to do a few of these together because we kind of already did one like this. Here's some veggies and some fruit. Maybe I picked too many tomatoes and this one went bad. Maybe some worms got to it. This cucumber might be sour. And I'm done eating this pear, so I need to get rid of the core. So where would you put these? Well, if you think back, they're pretty similar to our watermelon, and absolutely, it's in the compost. They will break down, and they'll provide really nice nutrients for our plants later, maybe next summer in the garden. All right, I'm going to put these two together. So we have, or these three. So we have 3 plastic containers. We've got like a restaurant cup, and this looks like maybe just a plastic container, maybe like sauce or mayonnaise was in this, peanut butter, and then we have a water bottle. So they're all really kind of plastic containers. Where could our plastic containers go? Do we want to throw them away in the trash? No, we don't. You're right. We have to recycle them. Great. So there is a little trick, though, on this one. Okay, so there's a straw in this cup. Straws are tricky because this might be a paper straw. If it's a paper straw, that's okay, it'll break down. But if it's a plastic straw, it's best not to put that in the recycling. If you research and you find out that your specific recycling place takes straws, you can do that, but only if they tell you, because they're so small and they're so light that they get lost and they clog up the machines and they can break the machines. So we don't want to do that. So unfortunately, straws aren't a good thing to recycle, so you just probably want to throw them in the trash. So how about we just rip off the straw? That goes in the trash, and this goes in the recycling. But great job, those all go in the recycling. It's best to use paper straws or reusable metal straws. Okay, so now we have, what's that? Meat, old meat scraps, and some fish bones. Where are they gonna go? Are they man-made Will they break down, or should we put them in the trash? These ones are a little bit tricky. If you know, if you've researched composting, you might know this answer. So you want to say, let's put them in the compost. But actually, it's best not to put meat or animal products in the compost. So this goes for meat, dairy things like cheese and stuff like that. I have cheese here. These things are going to attract animals, and they're just not best to put in your recycling mix. And so we're gonna have to throw them in the trash. Okay, so look at that, we only have 3 things in the trash. Look how much waste we already saved. Okay, now we have leaves. So when you rake up dead leaves, or maybe when you're pulling things out of your garden, or you just have some things that you've raked up from your yard, maybe you're going to go throw them in the trash, or if you live maybe out in the country, like go throw them into the weeds or into the woods or something like that, which is what I do. Absolutely, compost. They go in the compost actually. You want to make sure that you don't get too many seeds in the compost, but dead leaves, dead grass, twigs, those are really good for the compost. Actually, the compost needs stuff like that because it needs to balance materials. So if you've learned about composting, you'll know that there needs to be a balance of things like brush, leaves, branches, and then like food waste. So it's very important to put those in the compost. Okay, so now I have a tricky one. Do you know why this one's tricky? So we have newspaper. This can just go for paper. Let's just say it's any paper. Paper shreds, newspaper, used paper, mail, things like that. We can actually do 2 things with this paper. We can put it in the compost or the recycling. Yes, great job. That's happened twice now. Just as I say recycling, your comment shows up. Okay, so recycling is paper is very commonly recycled. Very easy to recycle, sometimes along the side of the road or like different place. Yes, compost and recycling, absolutely. There are sometimes bins just for used paper, so like old magazines, newspaper, stuff like that. So that's pretty easy to recycle paper. And then you can also compost your paper, because if you have paper shreds, that also helps your compost to be balanced, and it gives aeration to your compost too. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some in the recycling, and then we're going to shred it up and put it in the compost. Great job. Okay, wait, just a couple more. Here is that plastic bag. Plastic bags, like from different stores, like the thin bags. What do you think about these? There seem to be so many of them. They just pile up, don't they? Recycling, great job. Great job. Okay, yes, these can be recycled, although they're usually separate from like your recycling center. You can actually commonly recycle these in stores like Walmart or Target or things like that. You can just keep saving all of your plastic bags and then take them back to the store, and they'll make more plastic bags from the plastic bags. But if you want to be really friendly to the earth, you can buy reusable. I threw that in the trash. Can you believe that? It's the recycling. Okay. If you want to be really earth friendly, you can buy reusable shopping totes. it's just really great to know that you're cutting down on the plastic being made, because making plastic pollutes the earth. Okay, we have 2 more. This one's very easy. This one's like a shampoo bottle or like a lotion bottle. We kind of already did this. I didn't realize that it was sitting here. We already did some plastic bottles, and do you remember where we put them? Put them in the recycling. Great job. Okay, this one is important to mention because for myself, when I first started recycling, I kept forgetting that there's so many other plastic bottles other than just kitchen containers. So you commonly think, oh, I'm going to recycle this yogurt container, this sour cream container, this milk carton. But there's so many plastic containers in our lives. They're everywhere. They're lotion bottles, shampoo, other things that you find in the bathroom, cleaning products, bottles, things like that. There's so much plastic. So anytime, the good rule of thumb is anytime you're going to throw away plastic, be like, wait, I have to look for the recycling symbol, which is that triangle. So we're going to put it in the recycling after cleaning it out. Usually you have to wash plastic containers out before you recycle them. And this is our last one. Eggshells. Where do we put eggshells? So we've learned you can't, in the compost goes things that can break down, things like produce, leaves, stuff like that. Yes, the compost. This one, if someone didn't tell me, I wouldn't know that eggshells go in compost. Because at first you think it's an animal product, but actually they're fine to go into compost, and they provide a lot of good nutrients in your compost, and they break down really well. So definitely put your eggshells in the compost. So I just want to show you guys something. Here's what we have in our bowls. Here's our recycling. Yeah, there we go. Here's our compost. So full. This is our trash. 4 things. Only 4 things in our trash. Look how much we didn't put in the trash. It went towards making other products, reducing waste, recycling waste. And actually this is so cool because we saved putting all this in our trash, and now it's actually going to help us grow our own food, which is also one of the most important things we can do, and you guys have been doing because you've been growing in your gardens great organic food. Organic means that it hasn't been produced on farms that use pesticides and chemicals, and it also cuts down on the transportation of those vegetables and fruits. So there's so much to learn about how we can help the earth, but it's so exciting to know that we can learn these things and we can practice them, and then we're making a difference on earth. So great job reducing how much trash we actually put in the garbage can, which reduces how much trash is in the landfills, which reduces how much carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, which is the most harmful thing that the earth is facing. So that was awesome. Great job. Thank you for participating there. So the last thing I'm going to show you is what you got in your garden packet if you were able to get one of those. We do have 3 left. So if anyone wants one, there are 3 left. So here's a few things you can put into your garden journal. And if you didn't get this packet, it's very easy to recreate these at home. The first one is a checklist for being earth friendly. You can use some of these in your checklist if you pause the video and write them down, or you can look online for more ideas or in books, or you can make up your own ideas or a mixture of all of them. And you can make a list to help you stay on track and to help others around you to learn about it too. You can also make a bookmark or a poster. You can draw these little symbols onto your poster or bookmark, so you'll be able to keep this somewhere where you can see it all the time and to be reminded of all the ways you can make a difference. And you can also draw a picture of yourself making a difference. This one's super fun. And then you can like maybe hang it on a wall in your house. And that will remind you too that you have the power to make a difference, and that you tell yourself, I can make a difference. I believe in myself. And then the last thing you can do, this isn't really for your garden journal, but you can put it in your garden journal after you do it. It'd be awesome if you guys would want to do this. If you could think of one thing that you did throughout this Growing with Garden series, or just one thing that's your favorite thing to do to help the earth, and write it down on a piece of paper, or make a poster, big or small, whatever you want, and decorate it if you want, and then just take a picture of the poster or a picture of yourself holding the poster and send it to us. You can send it through our email, or you can put it on Facebook and tag us, another social media tag us, just make sure that we're able to see it. And then if you want to, you can be included in a collage of everyone holding up their Make a Difference signs. So that can just be a way to show us how we were connected during this uncertain time, and as a way to just celebrate everything that we've been doing through the Growing with Garden session. And I will show you very briefly the little craft that we had, and you can recreate this on your own at home if you don't have a garden packet. It's just a glass luminary votive holder, so if you have one of these or something like it, you can use this, and then you use Mod Podge and paint the Mod Podge onto it, and use tissue paper. You can cut it or tear it and then stick that onto the Mod Podge, and then once it dries, paint another layer of Mod Podge on it to seal it, and then it makes a beautiful frosty see-through mosaic, and you can make it look like the earth with green and blue tissue paper. And then once you put your candle in there, you can be reminded of the way you can shine your light and make a difference on earth. Okay, well, I think that's it. So I have put the last 2 badges on Beanstack. So there is the one that goes with this program, but there's also a bonus activity. So if you've done something else and it wasn't on a badge, you can do that bonus activity and get 1 more ticket. So thank you so much for those of you who have been participating on Beanstack, and thank you also just for supporting the garden program and having patience, adapting with us and with my dicey technological skills. Thank you so much for participating. And thank you also for checking out books and signing up for our garden bags. We're going to continue to do these types of things with like pickup bags and virtual programs. So definitely stay tuned and keep checking our website and social media, and be on the lookout for those things that we are going to be doing. And thank you for everything, and have fun going out in your garden in the peak season, really, of the garden, and have fun discovering new things and observing and making a difference. It's been so nice to communicate with you guys, even though things are so much different. You are very welcome. Thank you so much for participating through it all. All right, have a great day and have a great rest of your summer. I will still be doing other things and posting some pictures of our garden too. So we'll definitely still be up to date with that. So thank you so much once more, and have a great day. Bye, guys.